I just wanted to take a minute to talk about some things. I just talked to a guy in a bar for about an hour and a half about the sovereignty of the U.S. citizens versus the sovereignty of the states and the sovereignty of the federal government. We had talked a little bit about the end of the congressional meeting of 1861 whenever the southern states left the Congress. There was not established any kind of quorum or next data review for Congress, so it effectively ended what in legal terms would be called sine die without further data review. Technically, it's not legal. The president had to undo this stuff with the Presidential Powers of War Act, which technically wasn't really a legal ending of Congress anyway. The states never legally reconvened. This is not just some shit that I'm spouting either. This is like Congress established this in 1861. So anyway, beyond that, the 14th Amendment was something that um, helped establish our indebtedness to the federal government for any kind of outstanding debts for any type of what they call insurrection, and basically any outstanding debt of the United States government, federal government. It basically said that whether or not you agree with the things that the government, whether or not you're taking sides on these things, and the reason that this actually came up was because of the split from the Civil War, because there was this section of the government that wanted to leave effectively, and this is something they hadn't really addressed yet. So the states had sovereignty to leave, or the individuals had sovereignty to leave. It wasn't whether or not the states had sovereignty to leave. It was the individuals that made up the sovereignty of the state that was in connection with the federal government there. So anyway, the 14th Amendment establishes that we are all indebted to or all beholden to the debt of the federal government, whether or not we agreed with this insurrection or not. And a little bit after that, they had to establish, or they had to pass this thing called the Legislative Act of 1871. And in the Legislative Act of 1871, they established effectively a corporation that manages the debt of the United States federal government. It could effectively be called the United States Incorporated, but it is called the District of Columbia. And this corporate entity or private entity manages the debt between citizens and the federal government in what is called it's like a trust fund kind of, but instead of having three parties, like a normal trust fund would, this is a public charitable trust which only has two parties, which basically everybody's a co-trustee and co-benefactor of the trust of the United States federal government or whatever. So which is basically a debt. So it's how we manage this debt, and this had to be established because of the just the way that private individuals interact. Like we're a collective of private individuals interacting in a dual federal system. So like this is just what we had to do to establish this how we are beholden to this debt. We had to create the states, like California's a good example. Like before 1871, California was largely just known as the Republic of California, but after 1871, the states had to establish this thing called like state of California or state of Georgia, that was basically a benefactor or subsidiary group within the federal corporation, which managed the debt between the sovereign individual and, or at least the previously sovereign individual, and the now empowered corporation, which United States Incorporated. My question is really like, how much can we separate ourselves from the debt of the United States, this corporation of the United States, and still retain a level of citizens' rights and things? Because what the Legislative Act effectively did was establish a separation of definitions, or establish a separate definition of the term citizen of the United States of America, quote unquote, as now citizens of the United States of America are supposed to be co-trustees and co-beneficiaries of this public charitable trust. So I don't know how legally. I mean, I was talking to a lawyer about this. Is who I was talking to, and he had a lot of the same concerns and questions. So I just wanted to talk for a minute about these things. If y'all have any insight, questions, comments, or concerns about this stuff, please post them on the comment thread. You can post response videos, whatever you want to do. Email me. I really don't care. Just don't like take the video and post it somewhere else that I can't go find it and like get in the middle of the discussion. But other than that, like I really don't care. Please, if you want to get involved in this discussion, thank you. Have a good afternoon. It's for really important stuff. Be safe.